Hey, and you have made it to another episode of All Aware. I am Nathan Roshawn, and tonight's episode takes us into a story that's both deeply personal and globally significant. Venezuela has been in crisis for nearly 27 years, or I guess close to 3 decades, really. And for many of us watching from the outside, it's hard to understand what's actually been happening behind the headlines, the politics, and the social media noise. Some of America is divided by corporate for-profit controlled media and the so-called facts, which are mainly opinions that criticize President Trump and the current administration and their actions and executive orders. But for Venezuelans, this isn't an abstract virtue signaling issue. This is home, it's family, it's something they've lived, fled, survived, and continue to carry with them every single day. Despite the sheer scale of the tragedy that is happening in Venezuela, economic collapse, mass migration, human rights abuses, rigged elections, the world's attention drifts in and out. Most people only catch glimpses of the story, and those glimpses can be and often are misleading because you miss most of the context of the situation. That's why today the conversation is so important. And if you have the remote empathetic bone in your body to care and understand about world issues as it relates to us in America and the world in general, you'll want to stick around for this entire show. Thanks to the recent U.S. government actions and involvements in the region, such as the commandeering of a Venezuelan oil tanker off the coast of Venezuela and President Trump's executive orders in the area, the issue is now full-fledged in the light of day, shall we say. Our guest wrote a powerful message breaking down the realities of life under Venezuela's regime on social media the other day and talks about the misinformation swirling in the United States. The emotional weight of watching a country he loves slowly erode under a dictatorship. His perspective comes from a rare place. He's someone who lived in Venezuela through some of this regime, someone who got away, someone who built a life in the United States, and who also loves America, and someone who still has family and roots and is intertwined in everything that is happening right now. We're going to bring back Victor Zancudo tonight. He's going to be on the program, and we're going to talk about the last 27 years and what it's looked like for Venezuela. What's happening now with the executive orders and the involvement with the United States in Venezuela, the airspace restrictions, the drug cartels, the Maduro regime that runs the country, and all of that. We're going to talk about that tonight, and we're going to get a little bit clearer of a picture that may not be told to you online and social media through traditional avenues of media such as CNN, BBC, Fox, CBS, all your major players that way. There may be some human elements of the story that they choose to leave out. So we're going to talk about that today. We're going to talk about why elections haven't been free or fair in decades. What role foreign powers like Russia, China, Iran, and Cuba are actually playing, and why Americans, despite good intentions, often misunderstand what Venezuelans are truly asking for. This isn't going to be a conversation about politics for politics' sake. It's about lived experiences, human resilience, and the frustration of watching the world misunderstand a crisis that's shaped the lives of Venezuelans. Settle in. Today, it's all about Venezuela as we bring on Victor Zancudo when we get back right after this intro. Don't go anywhere.
Dim lights flicker in the studio glow. Voices echo where the mystics flow. Spirits whisper in digital air. Tune in now if you dare. Aliens talk through untold night. Conspiracies hidden from blinking sight. Secrets murmur like an old affair. Dive
All right. And welcome back to All Aware Podcast. I'm Nathan Roshawn, and I got Victor Zancudo with me today. So just to kind of go into some stuff, so we actually recorded a full episode, before Christmas. I think it was like Tuesday or Wednesday before Christmas.
Yep.
And we thought it was all good. We went really deep into some stuff and got some opinions from Victor on things. And now, all of a sudden, well, we had some issues with the audio equipment and it didn't record certain parts of the episode. So we've been trying to get back in person to do this ever since then. And, holidays and this and that and, our schedules and things. And then, come to today, which is the 4th of April. There has been some huge
January.
developments. Oh, I'm sorry. Oh, yeah. It's the 1st of January. You know what I was thinking? The 1st of April is the actual new year.
Right.
You know what I mean? With the
Yep.
calendars. So, anyways.
Yep.
So it comes to the 1st of January, or the 4th of January. And on the 2nd, about 2 o'clock in the morning, we had some stuff happen with the United States forces in Venezuela. And as everyone knows now, as we're sitting here today, Maduro was captured and brought to the United States under war crimes, and he's gonna meet the justice system here. And I know a lot of people are. There's a lot of misinformation out there, and there is a lot of people that already we're starting to see groups gathering in New York City, in other major cities, saying, screw Trump, screw America for doing that. We're on Venezuela's side, and, how dare you take their president out? Oh, this is just atrocities and terrible, terrible, terrible stuff going on. And, well, I guess I'm going to start. It's going to be kind of a different show now that these developments have happened. So I'm going to start with, I was actually awake during the time that this operation happened. I'm a light sleeper at night. It was about 2 o'clock in the morning on the 2nd. It was Saturday, so actually it would have been the 3rd.
Right.
Yes, of January 2026, and scrolling different social medias, and I started seeing live footage of something going on in Venezuela. And there were aircrafts, there was explosions, there was all kinds of stuff. So we're going to actually go into this. I'm going to show you these clips as they were happening, as the operation happened, so you can kind of follow along. And then I'm going to get Victor, obviously, your thoughts and your opinions and your reaction to all this going on. So I guess we can start there. Now what we know today, and you having roots in Venezuela, you're here in America now. Obviously you have an established career, you have a family. You're here for the long haul. What
Right. Yes.
what is what is going on with your family, and what can you tell us about what's going on now over in Venezuela?
Yeah, man. I woke up to the news at 5:30 in the morning. I had a meeting, an event yesterday. So Saturday, right? I had an event in Dayton, Ohio, and we're in Columbus. It's like, well, I had to get up early, so I woke up at 5:30. And I've the last year, I made like a commitment to myself that I would not look at social media until after I wake up, I meditate, pray, work out, and then I'll look at social media like after 7 o'clock, right? I don't want to fill my brain with
Yeah,
with the next crisis
yeah,
first thing in the morning. But the last couple months, since the U.S. has literally had ships parked in front of my country, I'm like, well, or my birth country. It's confusing because the U.S. is my country, but
right.
like every morning I've been waking up to it, and every morning I've been disappointed. It's like, nothing happened, nothing happened. And yesterday it's like, am I still asleep? Like, is this actually happening, or is this like some AI video? And then I checked every social media. It's like, holy crap! So I called my mom, but like before 6 in the morning. Like, hey, my mom is here in the States. It's like, hey, are you seeing this? And she's like, are you okay? It's like, yeah. Are you seeing this? It's like, yes. Call my grandma and my aunt and uncle who live still in Caracas. Are pretty close to the military, not the main. So the U.S. hit mainly two spots in the city of Caracas.
Mhm.
Fuerte Tuna, which is a military base where Maduro actually was, which is a big military base. And they hit an Air Force. It's an Air Force slash civilian airfield, like a small air. What am I saying? The airport,
Yeah. Okay.
and it's called La Carlota. And my family lives like pretty close, and my grandma, my grandma and you have the same schedule, I guess, because she she said like, it was like, oh yeah, we've been up since 2 in the morning because we were watching a movie, and then we just heard the explosions, and we've been up since. Now the Venezuelan media wasn't showing anything because of course it's all controlled by the government. That's what communist dictatorships do. And but she was watching the news from Spain. So,
Hmm.
in Spain, it's already, whatever, 8 in the morning, 7 in the morning. So she's watching those news, and she's like, we were watching everything happen live from those news. Um, I say all that to say that I told you this already, but I've been an emotional. Did you watch the movie Anchorman when he's in the telephone in the phone booth? I'm in a glass case of emotion.
Yeah.
Like, that's what I've been since yesterday. Because bro, like for 27 years, we've been waiting for this. We've been waiting for a regime change. We've been waiting for these, because before him it was Chavez, right? We've been waiting for these murderous dictators to be put behind bars and face justice, and it's almost unbelievable. Overwhelmed with emotion. My family's doing fine. They're like ecstatic. My grandma's 94, and I talked to her this afternoon I told you, for like a couple hours, and she's fired up. She's like excited, and everyone is cautiously optimistic, right? Everyone's like, okay,
Right.
that happened. What's next, right? And we'll get into it, but bro, everybody is. I don't know, Nathan. I don't know one. If I knew one, I could tell you. I could tell you, you know what? There are 30 million Venezuelans, but I know this one who isn't happy, brother. Not a single one who isn't celebrating. All these protests and all this BS. They were holding a protest in Columbus yesterday,
Yeah.
Columbus, Ohio,
I saw
and
that.
yeah, there were like 10 people in it, and guess what? There
They
was none
weren't
of
there weren't Venezuela inhabitants or people from there.
none of them, none, zero, zero in Switzerland, like, which by the way must be super awesome to be able to protest against the communist dictatorship, or against, I'm sorry, I guess imperialist government in Switzerland. Like, shut it, like, shut up. In Mexico, in New York City and Chicago, bro, these are the same people who were protesting for Palestine last week and for Ukraine the week before.
Yeah.
And by the way, like each one of those causes have their own right. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I'm not saying they're paid actors, but these are just people just protest for the sake of protesting with zero information, without asking us what we think. In our opinion, matters way more than theirs. Right?
Right.
They were born and raised in the United States with all the privileges in the world. They haven't suffered like I have suffered, my family has suffered, and is suffering now. So if I get emotional, excuse me, forgive me, and I will with those people, because I ain't having it. All those protests are it's CCP funded BS, in the best case, misinformed, do good, people
Yeah.
who had it so good in their entire lives and have no point of reference, that their sole job is to go protest the one dictator they like. Because I thought it was supposed to be no kings, but they do like the one dictator.
Yeah,
So
right, right. Well, yeah, let's talk about that a little bit because it's a misconception here. Like you said, there's people that are protesting. People are quick to judge and to formulate a mindset on something and take up a side without knowing any information, to the point where you're going to go out and you're going to hold signs and flags and you're going to rebel rouse, as I call it, and you don't even know what you're rebel rousing about. And Maduro, and correct me if I'm wrong, he's not even the legitimate president, if you want to call him that, of Venezuela. Am I correct? There's actually an elected
correct,
individual that is not him. Is that correct?
correct, correct. And by the way, the Biden administration didn't recognize Maduro. The Trump administration doesn't recognize Maduro as the president. The European Union doesn't recognize Maduro as a president. So what happened was, in 2024, there was I think it's been the either third or fourth presidential election in the last few decades that the opposition, so anyone but the regime, has won. Right? And there's been different people who run. The previous ones were worthless. Both of them. They all got bought and sold, actually, through them, bought and sold by the regime. And they actually ended up, they're living in Miami and in Europe now, playing freaking pickleball every day, chilling with millions. It's kind of
Right.
suspicious. So I'm glad they that didn't go through. But in 2024, the Venezuelan populace elected Edmundo and Maria Corina. So Edmundo it's kind of funny because everybody knows about Maria Corina Machado because she's the Nobel Peace Prize winner, right? But
Right.
Edmundo is the actual guy. So the ticket was he's the president and Maria Corina is the VP. So,
Gotcha.
but she's been in the limelight in the public light as a congressperson for way longer. So she's like the popular one, you know. So, but they won. They won something, brother, something like 80% of the popular vote. But the regime, the dictator, Nicolas Maduro and his cabinet, they did not want to give up power, and they didn't. And they basically pulled the the Chappelle bit when Chappelle was the president. What you gonna do? You know, like seeing your army,
The
you don't
Chappelle
got no
Show.
army. Like,
Yeah.
yeah, exactly. Like, because what are you gonna do? Well, they couldn't go protest to anybody because the people who count the votes and the people like the organization that certifies the election, guess who they're run by? The dictatorship. You know, the
Gotcha.
same way that Cuba and North Korea has elections. So,
Yep.
so these people have for a year and a half been waiting to be sworn in, and Maduro literally said, "I'm not leaving." So there is a president and a vice president of the country that haven't been sworn in. They are elect but they should have taken power a year ago, but they did because Maduro refused to give it up and said, "Come get me." Well, they got him.
Well, yeah, sometimes you ask and then sometimes you receive. And I think it's good to kind of notate too, at least from what we know now, there were zero casualties. That doesn't mean that there weren't people that, unfortunately met their demise, that may have been associated with with the whatever the other side is, whatever you want to call them, the narco terrorist group or something like that. But when it came to civilian populations and things like that, there were zero casualties. Have you heard anything on from back there of anything?
Yeah. So there's been the estimate right now, and it's hard to tell because the numbers are coming from the part of the regime that's left.
Establishment. Yep.
Exactly. So those numbers you can't quite trust them, right? That's like, when China was telling you how many people died from COVID.
Right.
I'm not sure, bro.
Yeah.
But the estimates are anywhere from 100 to 125, and the vast majority being military personnel. So I hate to call it a source, but it's a person close to me who I spoke with this afternoon, who was part of the actual construction and building of one of the part of the military base that was hit,
Okay.
and he said that there were about 50 soldiers that their second shift were there. They were watching, like that was their job, right? Excuse me, that's part of their job was be the night watch of that part, and they got hit, and I mean obliterated, like there's nothing left. However, he did say that his sources told him that the generals and admirals, that's a Navy base in a city called in an area called La Guaira Catilamar, they were told to leave.
Mm.
So again, this is this is fifth party hearsay,
Yeah.
but he told me that they were told to the generals and the admirals, hey, don't have anyone there, and they still refused to do it. So they kept people there. My what I posted on Facebook yesterday, bro, because I had that long post a couple of weeks ago with my thoughts on the situation before things hit the fan. But my post yesterday basically said anything negative that happened and will happen moving forward in Venezuela, if things somehow get worse, excuse me, which I don't think they can, it's not the U.S. fault. The U.S. did the only thing that they could do, and the only thing that the Venezuelan people have been asking for and have been able to do on their own. Anything negative that happens, the only people to point the finger are Nicolas Maduro and his predecessor, Hugo Chavez. That's it. That's it. And Chavez is dead. And by the way, they bombed his tomb, which was phenomenal. That is so petty, and I love it so much.
Yeah, I think one of the videos shows a little bit of that we're gonna bring up. They I think they were mentioning on there. They were like, yeah, they're bombing the grave site or whatever, and most of it's in Spanish, so you can maybe even interpret some of that when we do bring
Yeah,
this up. But yeah, actually, let's go ahead and do that now. Do you mind?
yeah, yeah. Well, while you do that, I'll tell you. So the civilian casualty, there's like one confirmed, and it
Okay.
was because of I guess the sonic boom or like when a missile hits, like
Oh,
stuff
the
happens.
percussion.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's it. And
Yep.
it's an older lady, and that's what like
Uh,
the news sources are saying. I have friends whose houses, like, oh, the windows were blown out, their doors actually like busted open. Um, it's, I mean, they didn't come up with 9 millimeter rounds, bro. They were intending to do some damage.
Bunker
But everyone else
busters.
who's yeah, everyone else who's been who died was because of they were either in that military base where Maduro was, or in other bases protecting protecting the infrastructure of the state, which has been linked to and found guilty of being a drug cartel. So obviously,
It's
like, loss of human life is tragic,
absolutely.
and it's horrendous, and you don't have to say anything more. Like, that's that. But you know what I mean?
So I think one of unfortunately our episode that didn't get to air. We were talking about the military setup down there, and is it true that uh, it's not like a first world country where it's an organized military? It's more like people are kind of conscribed into it, or they're offered payment or something, or it's where, like, they can flip, but kind of like Mexico. When you go down to Mexico, you always have $100 cash in your pocket because you know that if you get pulled over, if something happens, you can get out of it because
Yeah,
you can bribe. Bribe. That's just how it works in third world countries.
yeah,
Is it kind of like that where they'll flip? So like you said, your contact told some guys, "Hey, don't go to work," and they're like, I ain't doing that. Because I've also heard that a lot of the Maduro, I guess I'll call it, clan, hat flipped actually when the operations were underway, and they came in contact with whatever they are, U.S. law enforcement, special ops, or whatever. They're like, okay, let's go. What we got to do? I'll show you right where to go, kind of thing. Is that kind of how it's set up?
yeah, bro. These people have no loyalty to anything but money. So Venezuela in general doesn't have a culture. We have a culture of being happy party people, bro. Like, there are people at the beach today, like a day later, they're just at the beach chilling, celebrating. So, like, your country's in shambles, but they're celebrating. By the way, they were at the beach last week too. Our culture is not a culture of warriors. In general, Venezuelans don't have that, like, ingrained sense of I wouldn't say patriotism, because we are pretty patriotic, but no, I guess not most people. But we're like people in the U.S. You know what I mean? Like, if something crazy, like, take it for what it is. And you and I have talked about this and we have our opinions. But January 6th was a bunch of civilians who thought that things didn't go right with what they thought was right, and they went to take things in their own hands. Again, that's just a fact. I'm not right now here to judge if that's good or not. Um, People in Venezuela don't have that. First of all, they don't have weapons. There's not a Second Amendment. There's not a First Amendment in our Constitution there. So, um, we don't have that warrior spirit. So the people who have been in the military, at least, like, as of late, so say last decade or two, they've been there because they see it as a path to just have a secure, job, which is still, whatever, $100 a month. So they had to kind of like kiss, their butts. That's just what they had to do. But anyone else who offer them something else or something more, these are, especially, so, like, the high-ranking people, these are corrupt people, bro. Corrupt. Whoever came in with more money, if the CIA showed up with more money, I bet you they're the ones that turned in Maduro. I bet you that's the case. And so, there are a lot of speculations about that. It's like everything was so surgically done.
Right.
There had to be some inside sources. Had to. So,
Yeah, it was obviously. I mean, it was planned. It's probably a planned operation for some time. We're only told what the least amount of information that can be
right.
told, so that we can understand to some level. But I think there's it's almost like five D chess going on, where I think things that happened are probably coordinated more globally than we might want to think, with other countries and other intelligence agencies involved. I think there's multiple reasons, and we're being told that it's just for Maduro's facing of crime and things like that, which I'm sure that's going to happen. But I think at a deeper level, there might be some other reasons for that too. So and we'll find out as it
Yeah.
comes. Here, let me go ahead and bring up these shots. These, I don't know. Are you able to see that?
Hmm.
Si es una bomba, la bomba cae en donde sea.
Yeah, I said that they're bombing, and the bombs are landing anywhere, but that's not just anywhere. Those bombs are very well directed.
Yeah. So this was the first. This was at about 2:12, 2:15 in the morning on the 3rd of January 2026.
Yep. Yep, very
And
familiar
that's
with that
over.
video.
Yeah, that's the military complex you were talking about over in the distance there.
Hmm. That one's called Fuerte Tiuna. That's one of the biggest military complexes in the country.
So this was taken closer to where everything was going on. That's the military jets and flying over. There's all the different sites they hit.
Yep, Black Hawks and Chinooks and doing their thing. So, as you heard on the press conference yesterday, so Maduro was there, and so that's where the majority of the operation happened because that's where he was obviously. So it was twofold because it had again it's a big military base and that happened to be where he was.
Right. Yeah, there's another angle.
Yep.
And this is up on the mountain.
So yep. So that's the thing on Caracas. Caracas is a valley. So yeah. So these people are seeing it happen live, bro. I
Yeah.
think can you put your phone sideways for me real quick?
Yeah.
Because I think
Sí, sí.
yeah, that's that angle of that video. Because they also bombed the port, which is so the way the geography in Venezuela is. So it's like you got the ocean, and then you have like a tiny strip of land, which is where the port is, and then you have a huge mountain. And then on the other side of the mountain is Caracas, right? So that's where the valley is behind that. But that port, they bombed the main shipping port in Venezuela because, again, if you're in charge of a drug cartel, you send some of your drugs out of that port, right? They bombed a couple airports that were on the coast. Yeah, that video is, dude, injected into my veins, brother.
Yeah.
They hit a few they hit a big like there's a top of a hill that has a bunch of communication stuff. They hit that too, so they kind of did it dude, I mean it was done like come on bro, the US, like USA bro, USA like
Yeah, it was quick and it was I mean, we're talking like 20 minutes, man. Like I watched all these as it was happening and it was done in like 20, 30 minutes. I'm
yeah,
serious.
this operation was nuts. That's the way, bro. Remember when we talked last week or the week before? I told you that nobody. So people in Venezuela don't want a war. Like we don't want a war, and we don't need a war. We don't need an invasion. We don't need a war yet. We
Right.
definitely don't need a war, but we don't need an invasion yet. What we needed was to remove that dude, which I think I told you. Take 10 Delta Force dudes, and it's done. Now they use 49.
Just extra, just in case, you know.
Yeah. But that's it. That's it, bro. Venezuela, their anti-aircraft technology, bro. It's non-existent, and they were bluffing on TV, telling whatever the world that they had won. They ain't got nothing, bro. Nothing. One of the U.S. I'm sorry, you saw it yesterday. Aircraft got shot, but it was still flyable, so they just flew it right back. Nothing. Nothing. And again, bro, these people are not. They're loyal to money. They're loyal to whoever's paying the bill. So these people, I would assume a bunch of them surrendered.
Yeah.
They're not, bro. If I see some 6'3" corn-fed Iowa dude with a Delta patch, I'm giving up too. You know what I mean? These
Yeah.
poor Venezuelan military people have like 2 meals a day. So they ain't gonna fight. They ain't.
Yeah, let me
So
show you this clip that actually goes right along with what you're saying there. This is a guy. It looks like they've captured a segment of the I don't know if you want to call it the military or the regime, and they're doing just what you said right there. So let me.
Mira. Mira. Ay, papi, también chorreado.
yeah, he's saying they're scared.
Los van a... Mierda, qué desastre.
Yeah, he's saying they're scared. They're scared.
I said they're
Mira.
scared.
Yep. Yeah, talking about the Venezuelan people
Mira,
Yeah,
or the Venezuelan, military
Mira.
guys.
gotcha.
bajando a la gente. Mira,
He's going,
mira,
look,
parando carros.
stopping cars. I didn't see that video.
Bueno, me imagino que están defendiendo la posición, pero
They're saying they're
no les va a
defending
durar mucho.
their position, but it's not gonna last.
No, van a ir por ellos, van a ir por ellos. Mira,
He's saying they're gonna get them.
mira esto.
Yeah. what people are afraid of, bro, which you alluded to earlier. So there is an official military, right? But what people are afraid of the most, which is a reason, and we can get into this, like there's a reason the transition's going to take however long it's going to take, and it didn't just take place immediately, is because one thing that the regime has done is they have armed the slums. So people in the slums who, not everybody, obviously, there's good people, but the criminals who again, they have no loyalty to anything but crime and money. They have been armed by the armed forces to create these militias. They call them collectives or colectivos, and these are people who have literally nothing to lose. So these are people who will put themselves at risk, and they'll just come down from the hills on their motorcycles and act as a militia, right, to defend the regime. So that's why, like yesterday, people kind of celebrated quietly in their homes and from their buildings and stuff. I don't know if you saw like the building of all the audio with people like chanting freedom,
Yeah.
freedom.
Yeah, I have some
Um,
videos like that too. Yeah.
bro, that
It's awesome, man. I mean, I
like
know
that's
it's,
just real, dude.
yeah.
That's real. Like we, yeah, dude. It's anyway. It's been a long awaited event, but people kind of celebrated that way. They didn't necessarily go out to the street and do very much. Not in big cities like Caracas, because they're afraid that these thugs are going to come down, and then it's a full on civil war. Um, excuse me. That's why. So instead of and who knows what the negotiations were and how long or how involved everyone else in Maduro's cabinet was, because they left everyone else in the cabinet, and all of those people have also been indicted by the U.S. and by the DEA. So they swore in, this lady to be the VP, who's also a fugitive of the law. They left like the top three like honchos, who also have like capture orders, but they're kind of Marco Rubio said yesterday they're like in negotiations and talks with them, but they were very stern in what they said. I'm sure you saw it. Like if they oppose the transition, they're gonna meet a worse fate than Maduro, which means they're gonna get gone.
Hey, we got to take a quick break, Victor. So just stand by and we'll come back right after this. Thanks.
You are watching or listening to the All Aware podcast produced by True Rants Network and Nathan Roshawn. The views, opinions, and perspectives of the host and guests are exclusively their own unless otherwise noted. Subscribe now for new episodes, exclusive content, and more. Isn't it time you became all aware? www.allawarepodcast.com.
Hey, and welcome back to All Aware. I'm Nathan Roshawn. Victor Zancudo is here with us. We're talking about Venezuela, the issues with what they've struggles they've gone through, and we had an episode planned. We didn't get to do it before all these operations took place. So now we're kind of pivoting a little bit and talking about what the after effect is of the operations, what the Venezuela people feel, what they're thinking, and kind of just letting people understand from a viewpoint of someone from that area and who has connections down there, what really is going on, because we have a lot of misinformation. There's a lot of people that are saying one thing or another, and it's just from people that have never associated with anybody from there, from people that have never probably even traveled out of our country, the United States of America, who have no idea how global things work, who probably have no idea how third world countries operate. Maybe, it's as easy as going to Mexico to see that, but not a lot of people. I guess what I'm trying to say is a lot of people live in like an echo chamber of
Yeah.
the 5 miles they live in, right? So that's the whole purpose of this episode, is just wanted to share that information and let people know what's really going on. So we were just sharing some videos before we had to take a break of kind of the operation that happened on the 2nd of January in 2026 at around 2:20 in the morning. And I think I have a couple more I wanted to share with you, Victor.
Yeah.
Let's see what your thoughts are on these. So give me a second. I'll bring them up here.
Yeah, and while you do that, I will give this disclaimer um to your viewers and listeners is, I'm obviously I'm number one, I'm solely speaking for myself, right? I'm not representing anybody but me. But I am an expert in the subject matter as much as I have lived experience. I'm from there. I grew up there as a kid. I came to the United States when I was 19. I have family there. So I'm not, I'm not the voice of reason. I'm not the voice of truth. It's not the only opinion you should listen to or watch, but it's an important one, I think, because I know what the hell I'm talking about. Like, I'm not
Right.
CNN or MSNBC or Fox News for that matter, right? So I can give you the opinion of a real person who knows what's going on. Again, not the protester who hasn't lived. Bro, you said that, people don't leave 5 miles. There's some people who haven't left Franklin County in Columbus, Ohio, and they're out there with having an opinion on this
Right.
matter. Like, nothing. So
Right.
anyway,
Right.
sorry.
No, you're fine. And no, I appreciate the disclaimer, and it's true. But really, citizen journalism is really the new wave here
For sure.
because the media is often bought and paid for. Like you said, we're really no different than Venezuela when it comes to our media. It's just in a different package. You guys, it's
Yeah.
more, yours is more overt and they just tell you straight up, yeah, we'll let you know what you need to know. And ours is more like, here's options from different sources, but those sources pull from the same general source. So
Yep.
that's yeah. So I mean, I thank you for kind of being humble that way, but I think personally your opinion is very matters a lot, and I think there's a lot of people that will agree. And feel free to comment if you have something to say. If you're a Venezuelan and you have a different opinion, you
Yeah.
can say something. We'll talk to you about it, and if anybody really. So that's I guess the positive of this type of medium. So let's get back into this video here, Victor. It says soldiers and civilians are reportedly fleeing the Forte Twin military complex, and I probably
Yep.
said that wrong. I'm sorry, but
Yeah. Close enough. It's good. Yeah. So that's Forte Tuna. That's the military base where Maduro was.
okay,
And that's where the majority of the operation took place. That's where helicopters landed. That's where they extracted him from. That's where he ran to the bunker. Yeah, that people were leaving, bro. Dude, again,
yeah,
they're not gonna stand and fight against. They know it's a lost fight. You know what I
right.
mean? Like, excuse me, you're just not. They're just not. So yeah, and there is some speculation too, Nathan, that the lady who's now the VP interim, right, VP, was part of the operation and gave him up,
Mm,
which is very possible because the CIA has been in the country for a few weeks now, for a few months now. So who knows, what they had, who they talked to, how, because everything went awfully smooth, like awfully smooth.
it
So
was quite yeah. So let's see what this guy's saying. Let's see if we can get your kind of your opinion on what this guy's talking about.
This is a message for my American friends watching the news today in English. There is a serious inaccuracy in the coverage. Venezuela is not undergoing a regime change. Venezuela already has a democratically elected president, Edmundo Gonzalez. He is the president. Nicolás Maduro is not the president. He never was. He stole the last election and led a criminal organization linked to terrorism and drug trafficking, El Cartel de los Soles. And today, thanks to the vision and courage of the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, the decisive leadership of the President Donald Trump, and the actions of Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, the United States has finally recognized a fundamental truth. Protecting our hemisphere from terrorism, drug cartels, and authoritarian ideologies is a matter of national security for the United States.
Yeah, yeah, bro. Obviously, I had a long conversation earlier with a friend, um, who who was talking about the fact that we're only there for the oil. So okay, so let's talk about that. Um, Number one, I'm very happy that I'm very pleased, I should say, that in the press conference yesterday, Trump made that actually very clear. Like he didn't try to sugarcoat it, right?
Yeah.
So, one, two, well, the infrastructure that was put and the concessions that were put, as Trump explained yesterday, in Venezuela when we found oil in the country and the actual boom happened in the like 60s, 70s, 80s was because the Americans went there and the Americans taught us how to process it and do all this stuff. So there were concessions, and some of them expired. Some of them were literally never renewed because the regime said we're taking all of it and you ain't getting none of it. The other part is Russia, China, and not the people, right? But the government of Russia, the Chinese government, Iran, North Korea, Cuba, Nicaragua, all these countries are already in Venezuela exploiting our minerals,
Right.
taking the oil anyway. Bro, I don't know. This will be easy to find. I just don't know the numbers. But I don't know how many thousands of barrels of oil go to China every week for free, for free.
Right.
And so, and it's a, as a form of payment for the national debt that the country has. Okay, fine. But then that involves Chinese nationals, and it's nothing against the Chinese people, but the government, right? It's a communist run government that is clearly the adversary of the United States, and it's yeah, we do trade and stuff, and it's a very touchy relationship, right? Again, I'm not an expert in that, but what are the Chinese and the Russians doing in Venezuela? Like they're not there for the food and the beaches. You know what I mean? Like they're already established, and the Iranians, they're there because they're already taking those natural resources. Period. That's like a provable fact. So, is the United States there for the oil? Sure. So are these people. And I wish that there was nobody. I wish the Venezuelan people was able to do it on their own and take over and et cetera, et cetera. But at this point, just can't. Like we've tried it, we can't. So if we have to have somebody help out for a bit, I would rather be the US, not China or Russia or Iran. So I know I look Iranian, but I'm not.
Yeah. So that's a good point, I guess, because Trump did say in his recent press conference that the United States would be operating Venezuela until such time as I'm assuming they could do it themselves. Did you catch that? And what
Oh,
do you
for
think?
sure.
Is
Yeah,
that what do you
yeah,
think
that's a big
they're saying
point.
about?
Um, well, bro, so he actually said so. Maria Corina Machado, who's again like the face of the opposition, again, she legally is only the VP, elected VP of the country, um, not practicing because she wasn't allowed to, she wasn't able to. They
Yeah, they
asked
were
him like,
threatened.
yeah, exactly. Will she run the country? And Trump said she doesn't have the ability to, and she doesn't because again, the only thing they did, they took out Maduro and his wife. His entire cabinet, all those cronies are still there, and those people that I mentioned, the colectivos, so like the militias, those people are still there too. So if she went in or Edmundo went in and tried to run things right now, it's a whole civil war, or they kill them. Period.
Yeah.
So this transition, I'm very curious and again cautiously optimistic to see how it's going to happen because Delcy is the lady who is the VP, who's now the interim president, I guess. So that they said that yesterday too, that Marco Rubio has been in talks with her, and they've been very agreeable. Again, I don't know how because they also should be taken away. Again, they're also convicted criminals, so I don't know. I don't know what that move is going to be. Um, but Maria Corina can't run, and El Mundo can't run the country right now. So yeah, the U.S. will take it for a bit. Now, our hope is that it doesn't turn into another Iraq or Afghanistan. You
Right.
know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's everybody's hope. That's the Venezuelan people hope. That's American people hope. I get that part of Americans saying, no war. Like, yeah, I got you, bro. Like, no one wants a war.
No, we're
Um,
done. We're done with wars. Yeah.
and interventionists, that like like America first. Yes, yes. Like we should fix Linden. You know what I mean? Like we should take care of things in the States. Yes, but the fact is also that Maduro is a dictator illegally running a country who's also the leader of a drug cartel. Those are facts. You can dislike Trump as much as you want. Those facts don't change. I
Well,
don't agree with everything that he does, but I agree with this one thing.
yeah. Well, a lot of the drugs that filter into the United States come from that cartel
Absolutely.
operations uh through multiple ways or whatever. So there, like I said before, I think there's a five-dimensional approach to all of this. I think there's multiple wins that come out of this. And it's not, this is the first physical thing we've seen, but they're talking about Cuba too, just next door, a neighboring to you guys.
Yeah.
They're talking about that too because the same issues arise in that part of the country too. So yeah, so I guess like you said, we'll see how things pan out. I think it looks to me from everything I've seen that it's for the right reasons, and I think the Venezuela people are gonna hopefully prosper off of this. Because what do and I know we talked about this on the last podcast that didn't air, but we were talking about kind of what the people want in Venezuela, and I was kind of making the point that when you live in a environment that has only seen poverty, war, anytime you want to, either you sell yourself out to the cartel or you do, you live under a socialist regime. So they're not really familiar with first world living, except for from those who live in first world countries. Obviously, like you tell your family what you do here, and anybody else that's from, any kind of first world country that has family in another. So do they want? That's kind of a long ramble. I'm sorry about that, but do they want like to be America, or do they just want to be able to have their culture and do their things without the effects of a drug cartel or evil, corrupt government?
Yeah, dude. Like we don't want to be the United States. Like we want to be an independent, sovereign country, because Venezuela always was that. They do. We're our own people. Like we don't even like being compared to Colombians who are our neighbor, and
Yeah.
we love them, right? So, but we do want to live in freedom, bro. You do want to live with not in no fear, but like with less fear. Less fear would be good. Like no fear would be great, but less fear would be good. I'm not even talking about prosperity, Nathan. I'm talking about survival. Like
Right.
the average Venezuelan has lost like 10 pounds, not because they're in GLPs. Like they have no food. There is no infrastructure. The country, the largest oil reserves in the world, literally doesn't have energy 24 hours a day because they have to do brownouts and blackouts to conserve energy because infrastructure is so old and crappy or not crap dilapidated because
Dilapidated. Yeah.
there hasn't been any updates to it because the regime doesn't allow American resources to come in and help in companies. Again, they've expropriated American companies. The Hilton Hotel was invaded by, this is years ago, by two like whatever National Guard trucks. They just showed up at the lobby and said, "Get everybody out. This belongs to the Venezuelan government now." So just like they did
It's wild.
in the Soviet Union, right? So
Yeah.
everything belongs to the people, really meaning the government, which ends up turning into famine. Like that's obvious. So the Venezuelan people want better opportunities, bro. 30 million people in the country, and about 9 million have left. They fled the country on foot, on plane, on boat. It doesn't matter. I know people who walked that straight, that Darien Gap through Panama. I personally know people who've done that. I know people who walked from Caracas to Argentina. That's a 90-day
Wow.
walk with kids on their back,
Wow.
fleeing. They're not looking for, they didn't just want to visit Argentina because they won the World Cup. Like they were looking for a better path. And so the reason a lot of Venezuelans have come to the US, some legally, some illegally, the majority of it, great people, some of it were tren de agua. That's also
Yeah.
true. But bro, the people who are here, me, like, and I came here a long time ago, but a lot of these people, most of these people, bro, we just want something better. We want to work. We don't want to get here, bro. We don't want to get here and collect Social Security and get an EBT card or get, you know what I mean? Like we just want to work. The majority of these people, which is the brain bleed that's happened out of the country, like the people the business owners, the college grads, the workers, they left. So the amount of people who could be in the country, working within the country, better in the country, they just had no opportunities. They had to go somewhere else. So the Venezuelan people just want opportunity. That's it. We don't want equity or
Yeah.
equality. We just want a chance.
Yeah.
Let us have a chance to do something good. And there just hasn't been a chance. People are so desperate. There's no hope. That's what people left. So they just want
Yeah.
that, bro. They don't want to we don't want to be governed by Marco Rubio or Donald Trump. Like we don't. But if we got to do that for, a couple months, hopefully not a couple years, but whatever. Again, it can't be worse than
Better than the,
what
yeah.
it's been. Um,
Yeah.
but but yeah, dude, the Maduro regime, I have personally been affected by it. I have very close family members who have had to leave the country because of circumstances that have happened to them. They've been politically persecuted, or they've been just victims of crime, and the crime was a result of just a complete collapse of society because of this regime. The amount of murders, political prisoners, people who have been tortured, people who have suffered directly or indirectly for the last 28 years or 27 years. You can look it up on ChatGPT. It is, you cannot count the amount of people who have suffered. Everyone has. Everyone has. The economy of the country, inflation went up something like 138,000% in the last like 3 years. You know what I mean?
Wow.
The currency, so they've taken 9 zeros off the currency since the year 2000. Um, it it is an unmanageable situation. So what Venezuela wants is to be able to be the prosperous country that we were. So Venezuela was the most prosperous country in South America, in Latin America, in the 80s and 90s, in the 80s for sure, part of the 90s. Middle class people will travel to Miami for a weekend just for fun.
Wow.
But we were like fourth, like top five, I think, in the world. Like it's just awesome. And then, because of the ideology of these people who are the greediest people on earth, which is hilarious how, not hilarious, but very curious how all these communist, ideology people end up being the greediest. Kind of weird how that works.
Yeah.
Because of that, the country's literally gone to hell. So people just want opportunity, bro. They want to be governed. We want to govern ourselves. We don't want, Daddy Trump or Daddy Putin or Daddy Xi Jinping. We want the sovereignty that we had. We want to have it back, an opportunity. That's it. We'll take care of it. Obviously, right now we need a little help. So
Yeah, and that's not the only place. I mean, I think it was Bulgaria.
yep,
Had yeah, it just rose up. It was in December of 25 and
yep.
kind of took back their country. No violence, or at least little violence reported. And it's happening all over the world, and it's kind of like a Trump effect type of deal. I think, and of course, this is just my observation of things, but with what we've done here in the United States, what we're fighting for, what we've put out as it's basically like you just said the word sovereignty, just being sovereign individuals, being able to make life what we want. with no, big daddy figure, big brother over top trying to put you down. I mean, life is hard enough anywhere you live in the world as it is, because human social societies are hard because everybody has different upbringings and opinions and whatever. I guess I won't go all into that, but I guess the point I'm trying to make is it seems like there's something going on in the last year forward. I would say actually ever since COVID, where it seems like societies and cultures are waking up and they're going out. We're the only place in the world, the United States, that hasn't physically millions of people gone out in front. Well, we tried January 6th, as you alluded to. We
Right.
we, we tried. But just as a point of fact, we're the only country really that hasn't had any kind of community involvement like that, where everyone peacefully assembles in the streets and says, "No, this is what we want." And we're not moving until we get it. We're not going to work. We're not buying consumerism products. We're not whatever, we're not, driving, going on vacations, whatever. And I don't know what is to say about that. We're kind of a little bit different here, but it really is in our Constitution. It
Yeah.
literally says in our Constitution, if anybody would read the document, and I don't mean to be an asshole in the way I say that, but it's getting to the point where it's very frustrating, probably for you too, Victor. But you going out and trying to just have conversations with people, and they don't know the basic concepts of the country they live in, the United States of America. But then you have people like you, Victor. You have people from all over the world that come here, and they know our law, our structure better than we know it ourselves, and it's sad. And it even says in the document, when the government forms against the people, it is the right of the people, to reestablish their government and to take back their government. So
Yep.
literally, it is the law. It is the common law of the land. But but anyways, what do you
The
think about that, man?
foresight, the foresight that the forefathers had, dude, it is unbelievable. Like the United States is one of one.
Yeah,
Like this is the longest lasting republic democracy experiment in the world. Like we broke off from the British and said no, thank you, and that's
divinely
that.
guided, brother. It's divinely guided. There's no other way to
Yep,
put it.
100%, 100%. But I think people have to be able to separate the man from the fact, right? Like judge things by their own merit, man. Like again, bro, like
Right.
the effect that having a president in this country, whether you like him or not, and you don't have to like all of him.
Right.
Like my kids don't like all of me all the time.
Yeah.
They love me and they appreciate that I
Yeah.
have a roof over their head. But and I get it, bro. Like I didn't like my parents all the time either. I don't like me all the time. You know what I mean? So, but judge things by their own merit individually. The ideology is so crazy on a lot of times on both sides. But I unfortunately see it mostly on one side. That's like, guys, like, okay, you don't like the guy, fine. But there are some things that like this specific issue is the thing that needed to be done because the Venezuelan people tried. We tried to do it on our own, and we were met with bullets. We were met. If anyone's curious, and I invite you to watch it if you haven't. There's a documentary. I think it's on HBO Max. You can just look it up on YouTube. It's called "To the Streets,"
Okay.
and it's about the protests that took place in Venezuela about 7, 8 years ago. And we thought we had it, dude. Like we thought we were gonna get rid of this dude, and we didn't. And it was the most heartbreaking thing that's ever happened. But you can see, like, if you just look up Venezuela protests, just look at that. You can see people from the military, law enforcement in Venezuela shooting point blank, shooting at students, shooting at old ladies, shooting at. It's so heartbreaking, bro. And so when if people say, "Well, why didn't you try on your own?" Well, we did. We did.
Right.
Just like, what was it? What the dude said in the Green Mile? Boss, I'm tired.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't do it no more. That's it. That's it. And so we appreciate, bro. I'll tell you this: as much as I disliked and continue to dislike the previous administration, just in general, if they had done this, I'd be singing their praises, brother. Whoever does this, I I thank you, thank you, thank you. So I wish people from the other side could take a second and go, considering everything, I'm going to put my ideology to the side and listen to the actual people of Venezuela, see how excited they are and happy and grateful. I'm just going to say that they're right. Like let's rely on the experts, the
Yeah.
people who are living in the thing. So, but yeah, man, it's a beautiful thing, bro. It's crazy.
Yeah, well, I mean, congrats. I mean, this is looking good. I'm glad everybody's happy back there with your family and everything. And like I really appreciate you coming on because I know we've been putting it off, and then you've been very busy today, and you were speaking with your family and things probably all day, and just kind of emotionally taking everything in. So appreciate you coming on. I guess for the last question I'd ask, and we've been talking about it most of the episode, but outside for the people outside of Venezuela and who don't have any connections in South America. By the way, let me correct something I said earlier. I think I said Cuba. I meant Colombia. So
But both. No, but no, you're right. Because
okay,
he said both.
okay,
He said both, which is a question, by the way, that and I don't mean to interrupt you, but
no,
I'll hold your thought because Marco Rubio and Trump both said it yesterday. He said both Colombia and Cuba because the Colombian president said, I better watch my butt. And Trump said, yes, you better watch your butt, buddy. The Colombian president is another like wackadoodle drunk communist who terrorist, like guerrilla,
yeah,
whatever member who somehow won. And again, I'm not an expert in Colombian politics, but he like it is known that he has not just ties with the cartel, but like he owns like coca plantations.
mm,
So
mm,
like, okay, now Cuba, which is something that you said, and I try to go to, but my brain went somewhere else. Cuba is the last country in the Western Hemisphere that is like openly communist and a dictatorship. They have elections. Well, so does
yeah,
North Korea. So I just think the U.S. like too many irons in the fire. You kind of have to also fund all these operations. And I think that's part of why, Venezuela makes sense because all that oil money can pay for a lot of stuff. And I hate to think
yeah,
that way, but it is what it is. Um, but yeah, there are places that we should, again, unfortunately, we talked about this last time, like the US is in such a difficult position that you're the world police, and so you're doomed if you don't, and you're doomed if you do. So
right,
like, should we go and fix every problem before we fix our own to begin with? No, but also it's like, man, you kind of have that responsibility. It's a heavy burden to carry, and I wouldn't want to be in that position. Um, but people in Cuba, like my brother-in-law is Cuban, so again, I don't have to hear it on TV. I know it from the people. People in Cuba are suffering. They're just kind of used to it, but they're
right.
suffering. So if they live in the 1950s, unless you are a tourist, then you go to the fancy hotel.
Well, yeah, literally 1950s. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
like
People in
cars,
Colombia,
everything, equipment.
yeah, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. Colombia is a beautiful country. Colombia and Venezuela are like copy paste. Like the geography is very similar. The people are very similar. The culture is very very similar. Um, but again, there's so much involved with the cartels that are in the country or run through the country or used to run through the country. I mean, Pablo Escobar, right? Like that didn't stop
Yep.
then. Like, but bro, it's the same thing in Mexico.
Yeah.
Like so then you go, okay, where do we stop or where do we start? Do we just get involved in every situation in every country in the world? Do we go to Mexico? Well, the challenge in those countries is that in Mexico you had two or three cartels that run things, and
Yeah.
then they got disbanded, and now there are 50 little cartels,
Yes.
and the government is bought and sold by them. So like, okay, and again that goes into two things. One, none of this would happen if there wasn't the consumption. So we got to start fixing the drug problem in the U.S. and we
Hmm.
can go into, do you make things legal? Do you not? The the private prison system
Oh.
wouldn't want you to. You know what I mean? There's so many things in the
Oh boy. Yeah. Yeah.
CIA. We
Oh
need four
boy.
more hours for that.
Yeah.
But also,
Yeah.
then you go into, okay, do you solve every humanitarian crisis in the world? You also can't. You just can't.
Right.
If that was the case, we should have fixed Congo and Mogadishu, 40 years ago, and you just can't. So I think you kind of take care of, and selfishly, the U.S. taking care of what they can, and when
Yeah.
it's convenient to them, so be it, bro.
when
I'm
it's a
I'm
win-win.
grateful. I'm grateful to be part of that.
Yeah, I think that's what's going on. It's just a win-win right now, and that's where we're going. And then maybe the big picture is to go ahead and just clear up the entire North America, South America triangle of countries and make it for the better. But that's to be seen. So I guess Victor, man, we have to end it here, brother. So
Appreciate you, man. Thanks for having me
yeah.
on.
Yes, sir. Thanks for coming on. This has been another episode of All Aware. And for everybody watching, you are all aware. Good night.